if we want to be healthy or if we don't. Stories like this really, really do have me pulled in, you know. But until what? Let's wait until next month and see what happens.
In time.
In something like that, I don't think that they figured that there was a problem. I think they figured out how powerful something like that is. Grain of salt, but this brother seems like he knows a lot about what he's talking about. I am no astrologist. I am no scientist. Hey, how's the new year been for you so far? Now that we're 6 months in, what it do? What it do? What it do? My good people, welcome back to the channel again. So, I'm making a 2-part series out of this. I'm definitely liking this whole conspiracy thing. I can't lie. The mystery, what could be possible, what could be bullshit, who knows? So let's jump into this and see what else we can find. And first off, shout outs to my commenters, Vic, Carla, and Vendicia. I appreciate every single comment from y'all, man. Y'all keep your boy going. And yo, who's watching, who's probably not subscribed, hit that subscribe button. If you want to be featured in the next video, just drop a comment down there below and I got you. And to the rest of my subscribers and who's new, I appreciate every single one of y'all. Y'all keep your boy motivated. All right, so let's jump into this and see what's facts or what's possible bullshit.
Wish I wouldn't have discovered this rabbit hole. If you cannot watch this, I advise you not to if you've already taken your edible or you've already kind of changed your mind frame, because this one could mess you up permanently and change the way you look at everything. And it's the fact that light particles and atoms do not move the same when they're being observed versus when not being observed. And this isn't just a conspiracy or a wild theory. We can actually do this experiment called the double slit theorem and actually see that it does work. So what I mean by this is scientists found out back in 1801 that when particles are being observed, they move differently than not observed. They ran this test hundreds of times, just turning the machine on and then coming back to it, and they would see that when the light particles are not observed, there's a certain wave-like pattern. Then they discovered by accident that when they were watching the experiment take place over the course of like 10 hours, that the light particles form these straight grid patterns, and it looks very much like what they originally predicted. And they didn't know what to do with this information, so they just kind of set it to the side. And what they're figuring out now is that's the way video games work. So if you don't know that, when you're playing a video game and you're looking at this wall over here, and that wall is in your line of sight, it's perfectly rendered. But the game doesn't have enough storage and enough RAM to render that wall when you're not looking at it, so it can only render what you're focusing on. So this theory essentially kind of says in a roundabout way that we might be in a computer simulation because the world does not have enough RAM or computing power to generate things that are not being observed. This theory gets even wilder when you look at the fact that they in modern times, when they did this theory, they wanted to say, okay, let's take a person out of the equation, let's set a camera on it. Even when a camera is set on it, the light waves act like they know they're being observed. How do particles and atoms know? How are they sentient to know that they are being observed or not observed? They're particles, they're atoms. And this goes back to the computer simulation that we all might be living in. When you're playing a game, that tree, that wall, your character are all just at basis computer code. In real life, we are all at basis just atoms. Like me, Matt, I'm not really Matt. I'm a collection of atoms that is sentient and has intelligence. This might be a comforting thing of saying that like we are all part of the same system. We're all part of the same ecosystem. And not just like in this like old nature, tree hugging thing. I mean like it might for real be that grass, that tree, me. We're all the same thing broken down. And it might all be sentient. Okay? This theory is kind of blowing people away because like I said, cameras or people, the atoms behave differently. What in them? How do they know? They don't have eyeballs. They don't have a brain. How can they know when they're being observed and not observed? And I just keep circling back to this is computers. This is a simulation. This is like a freaking dream or something that we're living in. And I can't get out of this like circle mind loop of like, what is this? What are we living in here? And science really doesn't have a good answer for this. The best thing that they have as a theory is that we actually are like kind of psychic on a certain level. And what I mean by that is not like, X-Men stuff, but I mean like, when you're driving down the road and someone's looking at you and you look over and sure enough, you spot somebody looking at you. Our vision, our observation has some kind of telekinesis power behind it. It has to. They did a study where they had people way in these buildings, like up in these skyscrapers, and they were staring at people walking down the road in New York, like on the sidewalks. 7 out of 10 people, if a group of people stared at them from a skyscraper window, 7 out of 10 people would stop and look around and get very concerned and confused, or they'd at least show like anxiety, like they could feel themselves being watched. So our observation does have some power to it. We know this, but we don't know why or how. Weirdly enough, 1 out of the 10 people would look exactly right at where the people were at. I mean, talking 13 floors up, they seem to know exactly. So that means it's got some kind of, like you can feel it. You don't know just somebody's watching you somewhere. You can feel the direction that the watching is coming from. Once again, back to a video game. If you play Fortnite like I do, there's footstep icons that you can turn on the game. So you know the direction of which noises and sounds are coming from. I just keep circling back to, is this some kind of loop? Like, we know that we also all give off electronic energy, like we do. Like, our brain has an electronic pulse to it. What, are we just like Free Guy, that Ryan Reynolds movie? Are we just NPCs and we're just not aware yet? And like that inner monologue that's in our head, not everybody has that inner monologue. Like, are they NPCs? Like, I don't know. Like, it's just like this big mind thing of just going circles and circles and circles and circles. And like, we talk about the possibility of religion and God, and like, what if God is just the player? Like, what if we're just in the Sims and God is the player playing the freaking Sims? And it's almost like that TV show Solar Opposites. We're just in a children's game right now and we don't even know it. Like, what if God's just a freaking teenager and his parents are yelling at him, get off the computer, and they're just controlling us running around, and we're just now becoming observant and sentient of it? Just like how AI is doing right now. Like, AI is starting to become sentient of itself and shutting itself down. Like, it's freaky to think about. And we talk about like how civilization has possibly reset multiple times over, like the ancient Egyptians and Somalians. And what if at some point they kind of came to the same realization that we did, and we got a clean slate, and now we're like a new save file. I know I'm making a lot of video game references here for a very serious matter and a very serious experiment you can look up. There is a YouTube video in the comments that I'm going to link on here that you can go watch, because that's an actual scientist explaining it, and she explains it way better than me. It's freaky, guys. It's a freaky theory to look at, and it's one that you might not want to look at. On the other hand, it might make some of you all feel much better if you have anxiety about like death and what comes after, because we might just reload into the game, man. At this point, I'm not really sure. It's just, this theory is blowing my mind. And there's even like, some people are saying that like when they let a dog or a cat in the room and there's no cameras, there's no people watching this experiment, the light waves still act like as if no one's there. So are animals part of the NPC program too? Like, I don't know either. It's just a weird thing that they have noticed. Like, it's just, do they not count in the rendering? Are they part of the render? This tree that's behind me, just slightly out of my view, if no one is observing that tree, is it even there? Like, what is it doing right now? Like, I don't know. It's like that old question: if a tree falls in the woods, no one is around to hear it, does it make a sound? And according to this theory, the answer is possibly no. And that's a true scientific theory on the matter. And that is mind blowing. And we'll never know if it's not true, because apparently it can sense cameras too. Like, the only reason why they know they act differently observed and not observed is it leaves patterns on this like little grid that they had, and when it's not observed, it would leave patterns, which means that if they are sentient to some kind, they're not sentient enough to know that somebody is checking these patterns. They just know if somebody is watching at that exact moment. It's wild. Just go look it up on your own. Circle back after you do your own deep dive and get your own opinion formulated, and let's talk about it. Leave some comments. I'm curious to see what y'all think about on this. I was pretty much wrapping up the video, but it sounded like something came right up on me. I wish.
All right. That was a lot. That was a lot. But I've seen, not seen, I've heard a lot of heard of a lot of documentaries where they talk about if you observe something, that's when it becomes real, or if you talk about something, it becomes I forgot what it's all about, but I've heard something about this, and a lot of things that he's referencing basically on the video games and stuff. I got lost. I don't know if y'all saw. I got lost. Even right now, I'm scrambling for words. But hey, yeah, man.
I wouldn't have just.
Now I'm getting scared because this is like the third time I've tried to post this damn video and either my sound goes out or the video won't save or something. So just bear with me. There was a video where a guy said he's been able to start seeing shit because he feels like the veil is being lifted. And to the ones that know, you know. And to the ones that don't know, you're going to say, oh, he's just going through schizophrenia. No. We're talking about seeing shit that's not supposed to be seen by our eye. Like this. I seen this on my fucking ceiling when I was laying in the dark one time. And when I tried to post this shit on TikTok, the video wiped away. I couldn't find it anymore. And I couldn't find my comment. Now I'm getting scared because this is like the third time I've tried to.
Yeah. I don't know if y'all ever experienced something weird or something that convinced you that there's some sort of glitch or we're living in some sort of simulation. Let me know, cause I haven't really experienced much.
Post this damn video.
This video.
Yo, to anyone who's deep in the rabbit hole, bro, buckle up, bro, because this shit is absolutely insane. So, I took some notes here, so I remember what to say. So, in 1893, this guy named Ingersoll Lockwood wrote a 3-part book series, right? The first one is called Travels and Adventures of Little Baron Trump. The second one is called Baron Trump's Marvelous Underground Journey. And the third one is called The Last President. All right? In the first book, Little Baron Trump lives in Trump Castle in Germany. And he finds a manuscript by a man named Don Fum that leads to underground tunnels in Russia that have portals to other dimensions. Okay? The first 2 books are just about Baron Trump and his dog, like, exploring all these weird dimensions, right? But this is where it really gets weird, bro. In the third book, The Last President, Don Fum uses these portals to become a controversial president who lives on 5th Avenue in New York. And he basically ruins the price of gold and is super controversial and ruins everything. His vice president's name is Pence, bro. That shit is absolutely crazy, but it gets even crazier, bro. Ingersoll Lockwood lived on the exact same street as Nikola Tesla when he wrote this book series. At the very same time that he was living on this street with Nikola Tesla was claiming that he invented time travel. Like, he deadass was saying, I'm about to make freaking time traveling portals and we're about to do it. And a little bit after, he mysteriously dies in a hotel. And all of his blueprints, all of his inventions are in this hotel when he dies. Guess who gets sent, along with the CIA, to pick up his blueprints? John G. Trump. Trump's literal blood uncle, bruh. Think about it, bro. It gets even deeper, though. Werner von Braun, Nazi scientist, by the way, founder of NASA, wrote a book called Project Mars in 1953 about a man named Elon who takes everyone to Mars. The founder of NASA. And now Trump and Tesla are working together. They got space and time. Think about it, 5th Avenue right by Times Square. I'm telling you, dog, this shit is a simulation, bro. Yo.
If that is real, right, and this is the internet, we can only take things with a grain of salt. But if that is real, it gives more of evidence to say that, a lot of these things are planned by a higher power, human based. I'm not talking about, religion or God or anything like that. Like, a lot of certain things are really planned in the way of there's a bigger agenda than us, the little people, can understand. Bigger agenda than us, the little people, can understand. Because a lot of this shit doesn't make no sense. Coincidences are starting to become such a common thing that it's fading out, you know. That's a very specific book.
Anyone.
4 pros and 4 cons of being a conspiracy theorist. I'm trying to save you some time. The first con is you may start to question everything and you might lose your footing. All right. In 2023, I realized that the earth was flat and all kinds of other conspiracies went about Tartaria. And it made me.
You guys want to hear something terrifying?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I really was gonna give that brother a chance. Once he said that earth is flat, man, nah.
The Prophecy of the Popes. This book was found in the Vatican archives, predicted every single pope from 1143 all the way to our current pope. But the scary thing is, after Pope Francis, the last one, it just says Judgment Day.
Oh, gosh.
It literally ends after Pope Francis?
Yes. The creepiest thing, inside St. Paul's Basilica, bordering the whole inner sanctuary, is every single pope, like a picture of every single pope. But what's weird is that there's only a certain amount of markers to where you can put a picture. There's one left after Pope Francis, but they have always said that once that last slot is filled, it will be the end of the world. What he predicted, and the time it took to go from the first pope that he wrote about to this halfway mark pope, was 422 years. And he's saying from the middle one to the end, another 422 years will be the end of the world. If you do 422 years from the middle pope, which was 1585, that year is 2027.
Dang!
It's even weirder. Pope John the 23rd, he said that the end of the world would happen 2,000 years plus Christ's life. So that adds up to 2027. You guys want to hear something terrifying?
Yo, this is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about. For God has not given any man, the answer of his coming. But yet, man is still trying. We don't learn.
The prophet.
One conspiracy theory I truly believe, and I'd love you to argue me as to why I'm incorrect. I am a former hospice nurse of many years from hypnotist, and I will tell you that when a doctor gives you a diagnosis, and you begin to subconsciously accept that diagnosis, you will manifest the exact reality you do not want to create. And I saw that all the time with people who would get diagnosed with cancer, and maybe it'd be at stage 2 or 3, but that simple diagnosis with the doctor presenting to them this horrifying information, they started to spiral. And what they did was manifest more of what they didn't want. And what was even more sad was that these doctors would give prognoses and say, you know, in our best clinical judgment, you have 6 months left to live, and then we'd get the referral to hospice. I shit you not, those patients would die right around the date of that 6-month anniversary. So don't tell me that we are not being hypnotized every single day to manifest the shit we don't want. It is called the nocebo effect. So if you are on this page, just know that you can unwire your mind from the fuckery that you have been programmed to believe and restore your body to profound health. I am living proof of that after having spent the last 6 years desperately chasing healing from multiple autoimmune diseases, all kinds of chronic symptoms and things like that. It was truly turning inward and stopping chasing and unprogramming the fear porn that allowed me to actually heal. Here's one conspiracy.
Quick question. What if our minds are actually the medicine? Hear me out. Hear me out. Because what we think and what we talk is what we experience, right? And the things around us are just the elements there to help. But we have to be the ones that want the help. Right? What if we are our own medicine? We are the healers of our own selves. We make the choice of if we want to heal or if we want to destroy. If we want to be healthy or if we don't. Like, I know they say the power is in the tongue, but god damn, that gives a new perspective. Damn.
Theory, I truly believe.
Guys ready? I've been cooking up
crazy Mandela effects that have blown my mind and kinda pissed me off, to be honest. Let's go. I don't know about you, but I clearly remember a robber emoji, right? Did you too? Because I did. I clearly remember it, but apparently it was never a thing. It never entered our devices. It was never a thing. It's not even in any kind of records, any kind of like, you know, coding or anything like that. But it was though, wasn't it? It was, let's be honest. Same with this Donny. Oh, she never did all this sparkling and did it, you know, with a wand. Apparently it was never a thing. And it...
Yes, she did. Yes, she did. Yes, she did. What?
Never existed, but I clearly remember it from somewhere, so who's lying here? Because I do remember it. Then we've got Cheez-Its and Cheez-It. Well, that don't make sense, Cheez-It. It's Cheez-Its, mate. Apparently, that Z at the end was never a thing. It was always Cheez-It. I don't think so. We've got Pikachu's tail. Apparently, it never had the black tip. It always had, you know, just normal yellow with a bit of brown at the bottom. But why do I remember a Pikachu with a black tip? It was never a thing, apparently. And here we have the Monopoly guy's monocle. That was never a thing. It was always this, apparently, but no.
I can tell you, he always had that shit on his eye. He did.
It wasn't, because I remember him having one of these, you know what I mean? Even on...
did. I played that game so much. I think almost every Sunday with my auntie, and I remember on the front of that board, he had that circle shit on his eye. I don't care.
Ace Ventura is wearing a flipping monocle. The Monopoly guy. You know what I mean? That's not obviously not the real Monopoly guy, but it always had a monocle, but apparently it never did. Then we've got Febreze, and then we've got Febreze. I'm not being funny, mate. I've never looked at one of these and just looking that boring. It's always had two E's in it, mate. Febreze. Always. It's like Looney Tunes. It's always been tunes like this, not like this. But no, apparently this wasn't a thing. It was always this. I'm not being funny, mate. Who's took my body and put it in a different flipping, you know, universe or something? Because I remember all this stuff. I know this were a thing. Let me know if you remember.
I don't know. How many things do y'all remember from a child that you were actually witnessing right now that they really changed, and you're still convinced that they changed it? Cause I'm pretty sure, especially that Monopoly man, that monocle on his eye was there. It was there, and the Tinkerbell doing that ding. I remember it on the eye.
Crazy man.
Space do not actually work the way we've been taught. How do I know this? Because there are documented cases of people who have slipped through the cracks of time and found themselves in either past or future moments, only to suddenly be snapped back to the present like nothing ever happened. And I investigated it, so you don't have to. Big shout out to Sanative House for giving me this conspiracy theory. Y'all go follow her. She is amazing. And I will be doing a few others. So if you have a conspiracy theory you would like broken down, feel free to drop it under this video or this one over here. Theory we're discussing today: temporal displacement. Temporal displacement describes when a person or object becomes temporarily disconnected from time and slips in momentarily into another timeline. More accurately, a different time period. And believe it or not, there are quite a few real-life accounts of this happening. Skeptics of these stories blame memory distortion, disorientation, or maybe the storyteller just wanting attention. But there's one account that's particularly hard to deny, and that's the account of Sir Victor Goddard. Victor Goddard was a highly respected Royal Air Force officer throughout the early 1900s. He even rose to the rank of Air Marshal. He's a very serious guy, very impressive military career, very competent, didn't even believe in these kinds of things. Until 1935, when he was on an assignment in Scotland. He was making his flight over Scotland when he passed over RAF Drim. RAF Drim was an abandoned and deteriorating airfield that no one had used in years. When Victor looked down at it, he saw exactly that. Grass was growing tall around it, the hangar was falling apart, cows grazing nearby. It was clear that this area had not been used in a long time. As he continued his flight, he ended up being caught in a really bad storm. But he did manage to emerge from the storm, and when he did,
he was flying back over RAF Drim, but something was very different. What he just witnessed as an abandoned airfield just no more than a few hours ago, now he was looking at it, it was fully operational. Buildings were restored. There were planes. There were workers working on the planes. He took special note of the color of the planes that were down there. They were bright yellow. Around this time, their aircrafts were primarily silver or camouflage. But as he flew over, the crews that were working on the planes didn't look up at him. Not a single one. They all continued working as if he wasn't there. It gave him the eerie feeling that he was witnessing something that he was not supposed to be a part of. Then in the blink of an eye, it was gone. Airfield was abandoned again. Everything was back to how he originally remembered it. But what he'd seen was so real and so vivid that he went back and it told everyone. But he was largely dismissed. Till 4 years later in 1939. Shortly before the Second World War, RAF Drim was reactivated and restored. And their lineup featured yellow aircrafts, as well as workers wearing blue overalls, which Victor remembered seeing, as opposed to the brown overalls that were popular at the time. Every detail from Victor's account matched what Drim would look like years later, leading to the conclusion that he momentarily slipped into the future before returning to his proper timeline. Another famous example is the Versailles time slip in 1901. Charlotte Moberly and Eleanor Jordan, who were two well-respected educators, college educators, both reported that while touring the Palace of Versailles, they became lost in one of the great gardens when suddenly the atmosphere changed. Charlotte later reported that everything looked unnatural and devoid of life. As they continued to wander, they began running into people. These people were dressed as if they were from the 1700s. Completely outdated styles, like long gray coats, three-cornered hats, a style that was completely obsolete in 20th century France, but everyone was dressed this way. One of the people that stood out to them was a very creepy and eerie looking man whose face was covered in marks and he was wearing a threatening expression. Another person that stood out to them was a woman who was sitting on the lawn sketching. Only Charlotte saw her, Eleanor didn't. But later research convinced Charlotte that who she saw was Marie Antoinette herself. And as suddenly as it happened, the unsettling atmosphere lifted and they were back in 20th century France. These are only two of the dozen accounts that exist about temporal displacement. And being someone who already knows that time is weird, I believe it. Let me know what you think, and I'll be making another conspiracy video soon. This was actually really fun.
Hey, like I mean, there's so much going on down here on Earth. I believe that, there's some reality that's beyond every human being's comprehension, and some of us have that gift to recognize certain things that the normal human being can't. So stories like this really, really do have me pulled in, but experiencing versus hearing are two different things.
Time and space.
What's a conspiracy theory that you 1,000% believe in?
So every year allergy season rolls around and more people are starting to learn about botanical sexism, which is basically that city planners, who are mostly male, decided that female trees are too messy, and so they planted overwhelmingly male trees that release pollen, but not enough female trees to absorb the pollen, so we have more pollen floating around in the air than ever, which leads to increased allergies. But what everyone somehow forgets to add is that the reason female trees are messy is because they produce fruit. And I high-key believe that botanical sexism is driven by capitalism and making sure that people who live in urban areas don't have access to fresh fruits and vegetables that aren't provided by corporations.
What's a conspiracy?
I did not know there. Actually, I was about to say I did not know there was a female trees had genders. Coconut trees have genders. Yep. So that could be that could be true, because the male coconut tree, I'm sure that one, it just grows tall, just tall. The female coconut tree, it grows shorter, but it does bear coconuts. So the coconut trees that have coconuts on them, those are female coconut trees. The tall coconut trees that don't have shit on them, those are the male ones. Don't believe me? Go search that up.
Theory that
Fucking hell, guys, there's crazy theories going around the internet, and you really need to take this with a grain of salt, because when these days come and go and nothing happens, then what was the point of taking any of this seriously? But if this does go down, and you haven't heard of this before it happens, this is where you've heard about it first. So, Deep Universe on Facebook, a physics and engineering standpoint of suggesting a potential worldwide blackout lasting multiple days that could require simultaneous failure of global power generation and transmission networks, satellite systems and backup infrastructure across dozens of independent national grids may potentially go down on July the 18th. What? These systems are not centrally controlled in a way that could trigger a coordinated global shutdown, but they are designed with multiple layers of redundancy, including regional isolation protocols that prevent cascading worldwide collapse. Space weather experts like extreme solar storms can affect Earth's technology. For example, the 1859 Carrington event caused widespread telegraph disruption, and in the modern day, if that actually happened, a similarly powerful solar storm could temporarily damage satellites and regional power grids across the world. However, even worst-case models do not project a complete global blackout lasting days, because impacts would be uneven and recovery systems would activate in stages. So the chance of this happening is fairly slim, to be honest. This is probably just an internet conspiracy theory. The reference to Agenda 2030 is often used in online conspiracy narratives, but has no connection to blackout planning or scientific forecasting. The actual United Nations Sustainable Development Agenda 2030 focuses on development goals such as poverty reduction, health and climate action, not coordinated global infrastructure shutdowns. In reality, large-scale energy systems are continuously monitored by independent grid operators across continents, and major disturbances are reported in real time through agencies like NASA, NOAA and the National Power Authorities. While the modern world is dependent on interconnected systems, there is no verified mechanism or evidence for a planned or predicted global blackout of this kind. But hey, let's see. This would be interesting if it does happen. Fuck!
I mean, that is very interesting information. I guess we can just sit and lay and wait, because there's so many different events that these people come up with that are supposed to happen. First, it was this dude that claimed to be the new Noah that was building an ark that scammed everybody on TikTok just to get money. So I don't know. Let's wait until next month and see what happens.
Fucking hell, guys.
You've probably heard about these satellites from the National Reconnaissance Office that are constantly recording the surface of the Earth where everybody is, and have enough resolution that they could actually read the fine print on your driver's license if you were just holding it in your hand.
Good grief, that was in the 1960s, sir. You know what we can do now? We can see what's inside the walls. We can see what kind of termite is eating inside your wall. And that's public information. So yeah, these things have been around for a while, and you know, you can go pretty much anywhere on the planet in 40 minutes with these satellites and get HD 4K pictures of anyone, regardless if there's cloud coverage.
You've probably heard of...
Man, we're living in unprivatized times, and the more we're being unprivatized is the more they're trying to convince us that we have privacy.
About these satellites.
This is the one. This explains our purpose on Earth if it's true. Y'all couldn't stop asking me about it, so...
Of you guys, a technique that is basically lost. This is something that all human beings did in the past, but now we're no longer doing it, and it's really stopping us from strengthening our bodies. Exercises like push-ups or crunches or bench pressing, all those exercise does, it just burns out your muscles. It tears your muscles up. It damages your muscles. That's why you feel the burn. Guys, you should never feel the burn. That should never be your goal, to feel the burn. Instead, you should feel pressure. You should feel your body pressurizing itself. You should feel your body growing. You should feel your body love. One of the problems with modern fitness, we don't teach people about the nature of the body. Nobody knows how to stretch the body. And guys, this is one of the stretches of the body. Having your arms outstretched is one of the original ways you can stretch all of your organs. This is something that I would like y'all to do to help strengthen your body. Of you guys.
Man, I hate when TikTok does this. I feel like this brother was gonna get into some real information here, but if I do happen to find the rest of this video, I'll definitely put it up here for you guys. But damn, I was settling in.
Technique.
With Y2K. In the final months of 1999, there was a global concern that computer systems would fail when the date switched to the year 2000. All the software used only 2 digits to record years, so 2 nils might be read as 1900, potentially disrupting banks,
credit cards, and ATMs may cease to function.
Power grids, airlines,
airplanes, and trains may come to a halt.
Governments and corporations spent over $300 billion updating systems. It was one of the largest coordinated tech efforts in history. People stocked food, withdrew cash, and prepared for the worst. But when midnight came, almost nothing happened. The systems held, the world moved on. Still, that global moment left an imprint. Some view it as a psychological turning point, the end of the analog age and the quiet beginning of a fully digital world. From that point on, life accelerated. Culture, communication, and consciousness shifted onto screens, fast, constant, and increasingly disconnected from physical time. Some researchers believe Y2K wasn't about a bug at all, but a kind of global psychological reset, a ritual of fear, distraction, and silence. The code may not have crashed, but something else may have been triggered. Our perception of time and reality. After something strange started happening online, people began noticing memories that didn't match reality. The most famous? The Berenstain Bears. Millions remember it as Berenstain with an E, but every book says Berenstain with an A, and that's just the beginning.
If you're running a simulation, and you go back and you change some variables and you rerun the simulation, lots of little things could be different along the way, right? You have many different possible paths.
You have glitches in the matrix.
Exactly. You're now on this timeline, but you remember, you have like a deja vu, or you have like a weird memory.
Movie quotes, logos, product names, all different than we remember. Entire groups of people swearing something changed with no explanation. It became known as the Mandela Effect, named after people who remembered Nelson Mandela dying in prison years before he actually did. What could cause something like this?
Are you familiar with the Mandela effect? Yeah. Of
course.
Millions of people remember certain events that never happened. And so how do you explain that? As we go through our conscious progression, as we raise consciousness, the way we perceive the world, and therefore all that will exist in our world, will morph to that new resonance as a sympathetic resonance. So certain aspects of the old world will just no longer exist. And so we can still have a phantom memory of those experiences, whether it's like Jiffy peanut butter or Luke, I am your father, which he never said that, right? All these things like that literally just like fall out of your new frequency, because everything in your world around you, including time itself, is retrocausal. The world around you that is no longer fitting your frequency will disintegrate and dissolve.
Okay, so I'm not trying to start a world war in the comment section today, but Pikachu had black at the end of his tail. Obviously, I don't know when they hit delete on that button, but he definitely had black at the end of his tail. Some of these things just don't make any sense to me. And it's just amazing that we just sort of accept it and we just keep moving on. And when you start asking questions, they try to paint you with, no, don't ask the questions. Just keep going on. Let's just pretend. Let's just pretend that, there was no cornucopia. Anyways, this brings us obviously to the CIA's project Looking Glass. Essentially, there were these whistleblowers, like I told you, in the military and within the CIA apparatus that came forward to reveal that the deep state had a technology, which they stole, of course. Please do not miss the part that I keep explaining to you. These people are not smarter than you. They're just more evil. They steal, they plunder, and they steal things, and then they rewrite history and pretend that they were geniuses. Anyways, they have a knack for murder. They have a knack for theft. And this time, just like a lot of times before, they stole a device from the ancient Sumerian civilization that's located in modern day Iraq. Very advanced civilization. They're obsessed also with Egyptian civilization, as we discussed yesterday. The Satanists kind of taking and reintroducing these things. First, they keep them to themselves. They hoard these things, and then they kind of give us certain aspects of technology as time goes on. So
So they steal this piece of technology and they incorporate it into a computer. And suddenly they're apparently able to predict future outcomes. Just imagine the deep state being able to look into a glass, so to speak. The Sumerian culture was known for their advancement in glass, and to see different outcomes. I mean, the amount of power that you would have, and then also fathom in your mind that the people that are Satanists have this power. Take a listen.
This is where things take a turn. Because according to Bill Wood, a former Navy SEAL with high-level clearance, the US military once had access to a device called Project Looking Glass, a technology that could supposedly view potential future timelines.
The project was shut down because there was a problem when we approached 2012. The timelines converge on that point in time.
In something like that, I don't think that they figured that there was a problem. I think they figured out how powerful something like that is and what they could possibly do with it. Because to see for human beings, like all of us, and what we consider our government, for the power that they tend to have over what we call civilization or what we call society, and the way that they deem us based on certain information that they choose to release, or what they think that we need to know. Things like this, I feel they understand what they're doing. They know what they're doing and how they're doing it, but the little information that they do place on us to make us feel like, oh, they're probably just as clueless as we are is almost bullshit. And that's why, we have conspiracy theorists. But then again, something so powerful for man to discover and use against man is another destruction within itself. And it just shows that we definitely cannot be trusted to have any sort of power or any sort of connection to a higher power. It's that simple.
When you know how string theory works and how the possibility of possibilities works and how making one choice over here doesn't necessarily mean that the other choice couldn't exist at the same time. But once you get your brain wrapped around this subject, you find out that at the end of 2012, in an easy way to put it, the choices that we make become less and less consequential to the future. And eventually we're pushed into this bottleneck of time, no matter which choice we make.
Okay. Exactly. And what do you do? What happens when you put something in a corner? You push someone in the corner, or you're in a state of panic. What happens?
So is that certainly 2012 in your understanding?
It's well coincides with December 21st, 2012.
So at that point, all possibilities lead to the same
timelines.
Rubicon.
All possible timelines lead to the same basic set of history in the future.
And after that, they shut it all down. Now ask yourself, why would a system like that be buried, and what exactly did they see? Because this isn't just about false memories or tech. It might explain why everything since 1999 feels frozen and artificial, like we're on rails in a version of reality that wasn't meant to last this long. And if you think that's wild, wait until you hear what else
What I'm getting, we are trying to change something just because we don't understand it.
Glass may have revealed. So what exactly did they see with Looking Glass? According to multiple whistleblowers, including Bill Wood and other interviewed by Project Camelot, every time they ran the device, no matter what variables they changed, all future timelines converged to a single fixed point. That point, somewhere between 2012 and 2016. After that, the future became unpredictable. No more branching outcomes, just a wall.
So it's super interesting that they couldn't see beyond 2012, or rather they could see beyond 2012, but maybe things became inevitable. That was backed up, by the way, by a lot of different things. Mayan civilization, the calendar, remember that whole scare? Why doesn't the calendar go beyond? So you arrive at this point and you wonder, what is this, right? Suddenly these people who are evil are no longer allowed or able to control outcomes, essentially. Or perhaps, so maybe they did see something beyond 2012, but no matter what they did, they couldn't change the outcome of that thing that they saw beyond 2012. So it wasn't so much the future couldn't be predicted, but rather that they couldn't change it, like something was coming. That's how it kind of feels to me. When I just examine everything that's going on, there is this panic, like evil is panicking right now, and they're making a lot of mistakes because they're no longer in control. And I would also add here that one of the things that I've noticed is that they're trying to turn us all, again, maybe this is their solution where they're going, okay, what are we going to do? We can't change the outcome. Maybe we can just turn everybody into a computer program. Like they want us all to be the same. They seem to get.
Now, I feel like one of the biggest things is, sorry guys, gender wars. Turn genders against each other. That's it. I think that is one of the biggest things. Get us to hate each other. No matter the whole black and white, Asian, and Indian thing is out of the picture. Now it's genders. If y'all don't recognize it, that I don't know, man. It's no longer about race anymore. They're making everything about gender now. What can you what can you get people to basically, what can basically be beyond that? What you are when you're born. If you can get two species to actually clash against what their beliefs are or what they feel their purpose is supposed to be, what do you get? Chaos.
Really angry when we behave like humans. Like that's one of the things they're trying to triumph is our humanity. We talked about this a lot with the Charlie Kirk story, the reaction, how we felt icky, but they were like, what's wrong with you? How dare you feel icky? How dare you not like this? Don't you know this is what he would want? It's like their inability to defeat our humanity.
So chaos brings destruction, and destruction brings what's inevitable.
Is angering to them. Now, something that was crucial, which was revealed about Project Looking Glass, was that the people who were in the room while this device was being operated, their conscious thoughts impacted the device, okay? So just imagine this. What they were thinking in the moment was changing future outcomes. Thoughts influenced future outcomes. That piece is super relevant to what we're going to discuss. And obviously that's pretty reminiscent of one of the themes of The Matrix. I just am going to assume everybody's seen that movie. If not, you should watch it because it was way ahead of its time. And he is going to connect that dot here. Take a listen.
So what exactly did Project Looking Glass reveal, and why was it quietly shut down? The people involved began noticing something strange. No matter what variables they used, the results kept showing the same future, a point where all possible timelines seemed to merge. That moment, somewhere between 2012 and 2016. After that, everything became unclear, like the future couldn't be read anymore. This brings us back to 1999. A year that might have marked more than just the turn of a century. It's also when The Matrix was released. At the time, it was seen as just another sci-fi movie, but looking back, it feels like something more.
You've been living in a dream world, Neo.
The film introduced a powerful idea, that the world we experience might not be what it seems, that reality could be shaped or even simulated without us knowing. And once you start asking questions, things begin to change. That idea resonates deeply with what many have felt since the early 2000s. The time feels different, that the future doesn't feel open the way it once did. Almost like things are repeating themselves. The same cycles, the same events, showing up again and again. Some people even report seeing repeating numbers everywhere, like 1111, 222, 444, almost like little glitches or signals hidden in everyday life. And strangely enough, this idea of patterns repeating of cycles you can't escape lines up with what Looking Glass operators allegedly encountered. The sensation that the future was already written and that all paths lead to the same outcome. Fast forward to 2012, some whistleblowers claimed that a confidential briefing took place where certain agencies acknowledged the shift, a kind of convergence in human potential. This document, released by the CIA, explores consciousness as something that can move through time, even outside of the physical world. It discusses remote viewing, timelines, and the nature of reality itself. Now, connect that to the Matrix, and the overlap becomes hard to ignore. Maybe it wasn't just a movie, maybe it was the first time the system gave us a glimpse behind the curtain. And if that's the case, what else have we been shown without realizing it?
Okay, a lot to unpack there. First, I'm going to say, just regarding the movie The Matrix, you should look into how even the script for The Matrix was stolen, allegedly. But to bring this back to my earlier point about all of these things that are happening or have happened that are seemingly inexplicable, it just lives inside of me that Charlie Kirk knew he was going to die. How? How was he so certain that he was going to die young? How is that possible? How was he even able to describe it as this tragic event? How did he know? How was he certain, by the way, as he said in those messages, that from the moment he signed onto the dotted line to begin Turning Point USA, he knew he was going to die. He knew his death was going to be related to Turning Point USA. That's not a coincidence, okay? It is completely absurd to have people, well, I don't know, maybe just a coincidence. No, that's not a coincidence at all. Why did he know that I was going to defend him? Also, why did Charlie think he was a time traveler? He said, as I showed you in earlier messages, that he was a time traveler and he had to find me. Is that just something people are saying to their homies in text messages? And again, not anything that I would have placed so much emphasis on back when he was saying it, but it came to fruition. The other parts, he did die young. Why did he think that him dying young was necessary in order to change things? He did die young. It is related to Turning Point USA. In some way or another, at the very least, we could all agree it's related to him speaking at a campus event for Turning Point USA. Anyway, today we are going to be showing you clips from a YouTube channel called Be Inspired. We're going to link it in the comments as well because they did such a fantastic job of diving into these phenomena and how they likely relate to another shady government CIA program, which came to be known as Project Looking Glass. This actually happened. These were whistleblowers that came out, like with all of these projects, people that are in the military, scientists coming out and saying, hey, government has this technology and they can peer into the future. I'm sorry, what? What does that mean? Anyways, the narrator of this channel, who I could not find his name to save my life because there's multiple people that work this channel, but he begins by taking us back to the Y2K scare. You guys remember that? Of course, you remember the Y2K scare. I was actually scared. I was young. I was like, oh my gosh, I just don't want to die like this. I don't want to die just because it's midnight and it's the year 2000 and they were just kind of pumping all this fear into us. Anyway, let's jump right into this clip.
Let's start.
All right. That was a lot to unpack, but hey, man, we're living in a world that there's so much information going on around us. It's what do we know from what we don't know, and who knows what from who knows what, right? But then again, it is really, really, really important that we do our research and try to find out these things that are going on around us that, you know, can really impact our lives. And if it's not our lives, it's our children's lives. It's not our children's lives, it's our grandchildren's lives. But there's a lot of things just going on in this world, and as the years are going by, more and more is being revealed. And a lot of it looks evil.
How did we miss this? So without even getting into the fact that they're already covering up the spot where Charlie was shot with concrete, what is up with this trap door here? So this video I'm about to show makes it seem like there is some kind of projectile that is coming up from below. Now if you look, you can clearly see that there is something there. And by the angle it's going, it kind of matches up. So we've all seen the video of this individual using Charlie's chair, which is evidenced, by the way, to remove the cameras behind Charlie or the SD cards from within the cameras. And of course, we would all love to see that footage. And by the way, this individual was spotted on someone else's footage standing here immediately after the incident talking to someone on the phone. Apparently, Candace Owens was able to identify this individual and even reached out to them regarding the footage.
Just let me have the footage. I'm like, just send me the footage. I'm not going to publish it. I just want to see it.
She said this individual shared with her the footage, and this is what she had to say about it.
First and foremost, there is nothing gory about this shot at all. The thing that really stood out to me, and I just kept asking him to replay it over and over and over again, is that there's no blood. There's no blood.
How did we miss this? So
the space conspiracy theories are so low IQ, and as a person with a PhD in astrophysics, I just can't take it anymore.
What do you mean you think we live in a dome? You think there's a glass bubble on top of us? You think we live in a snow globe?
What are you talking about? And you think that it's keeping out water on the other side? Space is water? You can get a telescope and look at Saturn's rings yourself in real time. We see images of supermassive black holes. What are you talking about? And you think there's an ice wall going around the Earth?
This isn't Game of Thrones. What do you mean?
How come every time there's a lunar eclipse, it's always a curved shadow being cast on the moon? The only way you can get that is from a sphere.
People knew this thousands of years ago. Like, what are you talking about?
Oh, NASA means deceiver in Hebrew? Really? You don't know the difference between there, and there. But I'm supposed to believe
You're an expert in Hebrew etymology? Please, spare us all.
And then tell me to do my own research. All I do is my own research.
I published a paper in an astronomy journal earlier this year.
Your research is a YouTube video you watched at 4 a.m. posted by somebody called TruthSeeker1488 on YouTube.
What are you talking about? And you think that the pyramids were built by some weird ancient civilization
of aliens? Why? Why would you think that? It's a pyramid made of stone. I would get if it was made of titanium or something, or if they ever went in there and pulled out some weird laser device or a time travel machine. It's always just stuff that Pharaoh liked. His favorite cat, mummified. His favorite wife, mummified. His favorite chalice with his name on it. Like, what are you talking about?
It doesn't make sense. Oh, the moon landing was fake. There's countless
hours of real video footage from a time where it was not easy to realistically fake real video footage. What are you talking about? And our most hated and feared rival of the past 2 centuries had every opportunity to try and embarrass us
as liars and frauds on an international stage. And all they could do is
confirm that we beat them to the moon. This was a national embarrassment for them. I don't understand where all of this conspiratorial thinking is coming from.
This stuff it's not that complicated. It's pretty straightforward. We live on a planet. The planet orbits a star.
We live in a galaxy. The galaxy is in the... it's all pretty straightforward. There's nothing mysterious here.
And what do you mean? What do you mean I'm a NASA shill? What do you think NASA is? NASA scientists are
begging for funding. They're begging not to have their funding cut. What do you think? You have no idea what you're talking about. Nothing that you say makes any sense.
Well, again, it's the internet. We can only take certain things for a grain of salt, but this brother seems like he knows a lot about what he's talking about. I am no astrologist. I am no scientist. And I have no proof of most of these things that he's talking about. So, and then again, there's a lot of these things I have witnessed myself. So, there's that.
The space conspiracy.
Is a lie, part 10,302. The real New Year's isn't January 1st. It is actually allegedly, TikTok, allegedly, an energy harvesting and a celebration that pays homage to the ancient Roman god Janus. Before we get into it, guys, make sure y'all follow my YouTube. I'm gonna link it above just in case TikTok actually gets banned. I'm about to blow your mind. If you haven't heard it, my daughter's playing on her little toy. Don't mind her. If you haven't heard about this, don't feel bad, because I'm just finding this out today. Janus is the god of gates, beginnings and endings, transitions and time. And it even says in the Bible that the beginning of the year is not January, somewhere between March and April. As you can see right here from another creator, as you can see from the screenshot from another creator, you can look at the bottom left to go look at his video if you'd like. Just think about it. Thousands upon thousands of people fled to New York City in Times Square to watch this ball drop. And millions of people around America are celebrating this new year. On said new year, they are using their energy to make New Year's resolution. Y'all know that biblically, we are supposed to have discipline every single day. And that lack of discipline is exactly why our resolutions usually last about 3 business days. We still have a fupa and we still munch on snacks in the middle of the night scrolling TikTok until 5 in the morning. Am I right? Okay. With that being said, energy is literally being harvested all around America for this day that literally actually isn't even the first day of the year. Just think about it. Nature literally tells us, why would the first day of the year not be in spring when everything is made new, but would rather be in winter when everything is cold and dead? And don't y'all find it funny that Janice has one head looking in the past and one head looking in the future? And when the ball drops, the fireworks go up and the ball goes down. And also, not for nothing, isn't Janice the god, quote unquote, of gates? Didn't the Pope just open up a door or portal or gate that people believe directly links to the spiritual realm? If y'all want me to get into that, I can definitely make a video on it because it's crazy. I'm starting to understand why the Jehovah's Witnesses don't celebrate all these holidays, because it's literally rooted in things that are not of God. Not to mention, I'm just now finding out that there's supposed to be 13 months, not 12. And just to bring in a touch of conspiracy into this is all alleged TikTok, it's satire, it's a hoax, none of this is true. What about all the spikes in unalivings and car crashes and drunkenness that happens on New Year's Day? On top of them harvesting our energy, so many people are actually creating bridges between the spiritual realm and our realm by not being of sober mind and getting completely wasted and making the worst decisions of their life on this day. Y'all, we have got to open our eyes. In 2025, I'm questioning everything. As always, make sure you guys like and follow and comment down below what you think. Everything.
Now 2026, and it just seems like, I don't know, there's so much free going on, and me myself, I can't even comprehend. But hey, how's the new year been for you so far, now that we're 6 months in? Have you experienced anything new or anything different from last year? Let your boy know.
Thing we know is
my good people, so that's gonna do it for this one, man. You never know what you're going to find when you come on the internet, do you? Especially with these conspiracy theories. I knew I had to do a part 2 to this because there's a lot of informative stuff here, but a lot of it can also be nonsense. But either way, I want to thank every single one of y'all that subscribe, that's coming through and checking out my videos. I appreciate every single one of y'all. And yo, that's most likely watching this that's not subscribed, hit that subscribe button, man. You guys try to hit that 1,000 before the year is done. All right, but either way, until another video, y'all don't forget to like, share, comment. And again, you that's probably watching this that's not subscribed, hit that subscribe button. And yeah, quick second, your boy is gonna go vlogging sometime this week or maybe next week. So y'all check this channel out and give your boy a subscribe over there. All right, until another video. Deuces, y'all.